do have to admit there's a slight deviation with the final presentation. The more I got writing, and this is very typical Generation Y style, it just became about me. So 5 minutes and 20 seconds of just me, so gird your loins. So I grew up in Western Sydney, which is a really culturally and linguistically diverse place, and it's got such a rich melange of cultures, cuisines and personalities. And I think it's really informed the things that I do and my approach to my work just because of the geographical isolation. Always having to go out to find culture. So in my work now, I'm always about providing the best and bringing that culture in. So I'm borrowing from Fiona Wright, who's a poet, and she writes about Western Sydney for those who don't know it. So I'll just quickly read a stanza, and I've got some more poetry, little handouts on the way out. So she writes, "My sister doesn't shop at Bankstown anymore because the drivers are all crazy, or else they all hold both a license and a pension card. My sister says Indians' cars smell like ghee and curry, and that dashboard Buddhas are a hazard, and Taragos are just Beirut taxis." So I got my first start at Casula Powerhouse, working the public programs and education department. So it was there where I really developed an understanding and appreciation of working with audiences and extrapolating, condensing, synthesizing and catalyzing audiences with those global ideas. So right now I'm actually back to uni, finishing off my law degree that I never finished. And it's funny because academics often joke, kids who start double degrees, it's always one for them and one for the parent. So right now I work at the Red Room Company. So we are a poetry foundation that works with poets to deliver really unexpected and unusual publishing outcomes. We work with pigeon carriers, fanciers, ships and ports, truck drivers and poetry in prisons. And I think here I've really developed an appreciation of the written word. They say a photo is worth 1,000 words, but sometimes I prefer those 1,000 words instead. This is Robert Leonard, and it's such an interesting quote, and something I really agree with. He kind of talks about curators working at different registers, different pitches, with different sort of groups, and there's this idea that sort of curators are artist pleasers, which I think, sometimes it's important to understand the value that you bring and to push back. So this is the exhibition I curated at Casula Powerhouse. The artworks reference the building, the history and the people who used to inhabit it. So the works were split along 2 lines, some of them by the precision, detail and kinetic force, and the other side were artworks that hint at decay and vacancies, so sort of mapping the broad sort of history of the space. So in approaching that exhibition, I always believe place artist investigations at the core and most importantly give them the time to explore, to uncover and unpack. And that's where I started with this exhibition. And with that, we gave them opportunities to present new works, and I think it's important for curators constantly pushing to provide new opportunities, different contexts for artists, and giving something that's new, sounding very curator-like. And also, as part of that, we are a means to a living as well, so very important of that. And I'm a big believer of using the collection. So this is a Callum Morton brick. And I just think, because the exhibition was really about the different palimpsestic histories of the space and mapping that sort of history over time, it's important to use the collection where possible and to blend the new and the old. Think big. So this is the exhibition I did at Penrith Regional Gallery. So 20 artists exploring the cutting or the bleeding edge of painting and beyond. And it doesn't matter what you think about the topic, but it was such a wonderful opportunity and where I learned so much. Through that exhibition, I really developed this idea of artist authorship. So artists having the ability and the say to shape what's written about their work. So as part of the exhibition that I'm working on now, we've commissioned writers to collaborate with those artists to shape that sort of legacy that they'll then leave. I think writing is so important about artists. So this is Louise Zhang working at the gallery to present a new mural, and I always believe it's important to have artists present, to invite them into the gallery space. So often these spaces have personalities and cultures, so that is such an important disruptive force in reshaping the way that you think. And artist practice, so I think a big sort of underlining theme in my sort of curatorial practice is following artists' practice, not specific artworks, not about, seniority. It's about surveying a particular breed of artists working in a particular space in the show. And I think by contextualising the work with senior and junior artists, you get the best sort of outcomes. And incidental is spelt wrong, so apologise for that. And I'll always be a believer in providing incidental opportunities for artists as well. It's employment at the end of the day. So being able to allow them to shape, different opportunities, workshops and whatnot, I think it's quite important. Curatorial Intensive. So that's where I've just spent my last sort of 2 weeks ago at the 4A Curatorial Intensive, and I have to speak so highly of it. And also thank you for the Copyright Fund agency for supporting that. And it really taught me that, in the words of John Donne, no man is an island. So being together and supporting one another is so important, and just that honest and open discourse as well. So this is the exhibition I'm curating for Casula Powerhouse later in the year, called Softcore, Survey of Soft and Inflatable Artists, and this is Cosmo McMurtry by Michael Parakofi. So we'll have the companion piece, Jim, which is a 12-metre inflatable rabbit, so please pencil that in, 15th of October, that's the opening. 5 by 5, so this is a survey of 5 artist-collector relationships and understanding how those relationships inform art making and also collecting processes. So 27th of May, Penrith Regional Gallery, put that one in as well. So I think my sort of curatorial practice really, focuses on taking big ideas and making them relevant, providing them context and making artists and audiences excited, and along with providing the scholarship to unpack them. So I'm a big believer of this, creating this immersive space. I mean, you read the news and so often it's so terrible. So just providing an oasis, a respite, so important. And osmosis, so this takes us back to year 8 science, and it's the transfer of, density. So it's my final slide, and I just wanted to thank everyone, thank museums and galleries for having me here tonight, and I just really hope tonight's a really valuable night of idea sharing and, transfer of ideas and maybe densities. So thank you.